Say that it's quite amazing this demonstration took place today. One, it's in the middle of the fair Glasgow fortnight, and two, the sun is shining. And I'd like to start, it's not exactly a stop the war song, but I'd like to say this sun is the only sun we want to see in Glasgow. Down with Murdoch, down with Cameron. This is the only sun we want to see in Glasgow. And actually it links in, because the themes for today, it's important for us here in Scotland, here in the UK, to stand up shoulder to shoulder with our Arab brothers and sisters that are resisting and actually producing democracy and fighting. That's our responsibility, because other speakers have pointed out, it's the Western intervention. It's the Western intervention going back decades, in fact centuries, that has created a world of inequality, injustice, where dictators roam free, where dictators buy arms from so-called democratic regimes in the West. And that's why it's important that in Glasgow and London and Manchester, all over, we mark it. And that is our responsibility. I remember speaking to some Egyptian revolutionaries and we asked, how can we provide you solidarity? And they replied, bring down your own regime. Yeah. Bring down your own regime. Create an alternative there.
We'll ring out, we'll beat our drums and wave our flag. We'll beat our drums and wave our flag. We'll beat our drums and wave our flags, the grand, the great, the glorious rag, the ones they put on their body bags.
But it's also important because our government is directly involved in this. Our government is selling the arms which are used for repression in these countries. Last year alone, £1.8 billion was sold in sophisticated armaments to the countries in the region. Much of that was used in terms of internal repression and crowd control. So we are directly involved and directly partially responsible for the situation.
So the whole city, all cities in Syria now are going out in peaceful demonstrations. And how does the regime respond? It responds with brutal attacks. They've sent their troops. Now, just 5 days ago, Homs is the third biggest city in Syria, is under siege. The tanks are going into the town, bombing and killing all protesters, shooting at homes, people just staying at their homes peacefully, getting shot and bombarded.
Ones they put on their body bags. And later when the sickness comes, and later when the sickness comes, and later when the sickness comes from chemicals and uranium, we'll wring our hands and all play dumb.
The revolution started and the people went out demonstrating peacefully. He went out to help his families and his brothers in Dar'a city, and he was arrested by the Syrian police. Imagine a 13-year-old is arrested as a political prisoner. He was taken away from his family. He was tortured till death. After 3 weeks, his body was returned to his family. It was horrible pictures. You can see them on YouTube. It was horrible. I cannot imagine what that child went through when he was in prison. And can you imagine the feeling of his parents? It's absolutely horrible. And the story continues. After 2 weeks, another child was released. His body was released. Again, he was a friend of Hamza al-Khatib, and he was tortured till death. So the whole city, all cities in Syria now are going out in peaceful demonstrations.
David Cameron! David Murdoch! Bashar Assad! David Cameron! Bashar Assad! David Cameron!
We'll wring our hands and all play dumb. See the veterans, they played their part. The veterans, they played their part. The veterans, they played their part. They came home with a purple heart. They're walking around with a shopping cart. Where are the legs you used to run? Where are the legs? afraid your dancing days are done. You haven't an arm and you haven't a leg. You haven't an arm and you haven't a leg. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg. You're an armless, legless, chickenless egg. We'll have to put you out with a bowl to beg. We kill them and they kill us back. We kill them and they kill us back. We kill them and they kill us back. They say it's always been like that. What a load of crap. So tip your hat and take a bow. Tip your hat and take a bow. Tip your hat and take a bow and get on with your life somehow. They're taking your little brother now.
Over the last, well, decade or so, I think a lot of us have found ourselves feeling pretty sickened to hear words like freedom and democracy twisted into an excuse for illegal and immoral war. We've heard words like freedom and democracy ring hollow from the mouths of those who clearly don't even understand the terms. These terms are not owned by the owners of capital. These terms are not in the arsenal of neoliberal warmongers. These terms are innate to every one of us. They're native to every nation. And they speak of a universal human need to make decisions for ourselves about where we live, about the work we do, about our families, about our health, and most crucially to give or withhold or withdraw consent over who governs and in whose interests and how. And so in looking across the world to those who are struggling, who take far bigger risks than I have to, than any one of us have to make their speeches or to challenge their governments. In looking to those people and being inspired by them, I'm concerned that we don't simply buy in to the rhetoric we've heard in some parts of the media that all such people want is what we have. Because a democracy in which we have to rely on unelected legislators to protect us from our governments is not a true democracy. Freedom which is dependent on the whim of multinationals and billionaires and the control that they exert over our democracies and over our governments, that is not true freedom either. The freedom and the democracy which we must all seek together is something the world has not won yet. None of us can stand here and patronizingly say, you only want what we have. None of us have it yet. This is not the fight of a small number of countries in North Africa and the Middle East. This is not the fight of a small number of activists across countries around the world. This is the fight of the entire world. And if we seek to win freedom and democracy, it is for all of us. It is based on a universal understanding of human dignity and what freedom and democracy really mean for us. Thank you for the inspiring work that people here are doing to raise awareness of what's happening in North Africa and the Middle East. Obviously, thank you to those who are making it happen, but we have to take that fight into British and Scottish politics as well, and the politics of the Western world, because what we have is not the freedom or the democracy that we all deserve. Thank you very much.
Not the war and occupation! Palestina! Welfare! Warfare! Welfare! When they say warfare!
Are the steps of those who walk in peace.
We'll try it together.
How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. at Selma, you came marching side by side. In your eyes, the new world on the way. Hope was in your heart and justice would not be denied. You sang we shall overcome someday. God knows the courage you possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful upon the mount are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mount are the steps of those who walk in peace. Marching round the White House, marching down to number 10, standing at the fast lane, the Southland, speaking truth to power, singing peace in Babylon, asking us why not give cheese to peace a chance. God knows the power you possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. Now the generations who have joined you on the road look to you with power in their eyes. Now you see the torches pass as they pick up the load. Now you see their eyes are on the prize. God knows the courage you possess, and Isaiah said it best. You want to try it? How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. One more go on, have a go. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace.
I just want to give you a message from the Syrian people. The Syrian people send their big thanks for you for standing up for them, for standing up for freedom. And what they want you is to continue, because you are their voice. There has been a media blackout, unfortunately, but you will be their voices. You will be their ambassadors to the world. So please don't stop. Don't stop what you're doing. It's absolutely fantastic.